let's move right along to our next segment, which is a strange but true.
Strange but true.
Ah, wow, it's me. Whoa, I'm so big on the screen. Hey, everybody, it's Objectively Dan here, and I'm the host of a story. Well, that's really cool. So of course, because it's me, and because I got asked to be on the nonprofits, of course, it has to do with aliens. Like, I just feel like there's some sort of obligation. I think I signed a contract unconsciously with the ACA that I have to be the aliens guy.
Yeah.
So this is a story that I'm choosing to cover today, which I think is to be interesting, and I think I might have a hot take on. So maybe I'll get some pushback. I don't know. We'll see. So the story of this headline is NASA, and this is coming from Changing America. NASA used religious experts to predict how humans may react to aliens. Okay, so specifically, what's happening here is that NASA has decided to fund some research and specifically into the ideas of what are the theological implications if we were to discover intelligent life. Okay, so religious experts are going to be examining how each of the world's major religions may respond to news that intelligent life exists on other planets. And one of the scholars specifically is focus is between astrobiology and Christian theology, and the prospects of there have been many incarnations of Jesus Christ is the quote here. And there's going to be an upcoming book on this. I believe it's going to be released next year on the topic. And this study basically is going to be amongst 24 theologians. It's being done through the University of Cambridge. Okay. And this is through the Center for Theological Inquiry, the NASA sponsored program, Center for Theological Inquiry at Princeton University. So, there's a couple different things going on here. NASA is not the sole proprietor, the sole people giving money to this specific organization to be doing this kind of research. And it's not just going to a church. This is going to a college. Okay. This is going to a institution that's going to be doing this research to be ostensibly made available to the public, since they're going to be publishing a book on this. So this is really interesting because, one of the things that the ACA likes to talk about is the separation between church and state. And from the outside, this might look like the government actually giving money to a church, but I don't think this is the case. We're talking about professors who are going to be getting this. We're talking about professional theologians who are going to be talking about the implications of the theology of this. Now, what I think is interesting about this story is not the theological conclusions that they come to, because I think theology is bullshit at the end of the day, right? Like, we all agree theology is bullshit. I think we can all agree with that. Okay. So it's the sociological implications that are going to come from this research that I think are going to be most interesting. Maybe this isn't the best medium to do it, but I want to draw a parallel here. Okay. Let's talk about the COVID-19 virus. Let's talk about how the religious demographic that was least resistant to the pro-vaccine messaging this entire time has been evangelicals, right? Evangelicals have had a huge sway in the public health of this nation. We are more sick as a nation because of this demographic. And I mean that in no uncertain terms, right? The ones who are most resistant because they actually have a theological basis for their beliefs as to not to get a vaccine. Many of them do, which is such a powerful thing. It really speaks to the power that religion has. So what happens when you have a single government organization that suddenly has to announce to the world that they not only found intelligent life, but they may be the sole proprietors of that communication between that organization and that intelligent life? What do you have? You have a time bomb on your hands, right? Suddenly you're become an international target for anybody who wants to get their hands on that technology and figure out what they can do with it and how they want to treat other intelligent life. So obviously there's different things at play here. Some people may want to evangelize to these aliens. Some people may think that they're existential threats and have to be destroyed and could cause political chaos on a level that we literally haven't seen before, because we're talking about extraterrestrial phenomenon. So I think the research of this is interesting from a sociological perspective, not necessarily a theological one. If we had done this sort of research, for example, on how we can better understand theology so that we can make our messaging more effective for COVID-19 vaccinations, we might find that there's going to be less resistance to that vaccine if people can find ways that they can theologically justify it. And I think that NASA's probably interested in doing the same thing here, because when they have to be the ones to announce that, hey, we're the ones that have found this intelligent life, how do we go about doing this? They might have to rely on this kind of research in order to make their messaging most effective, and not say, I don't know, have the whole planet go after them trying to figure out, that if they're telling the truth or not. And also, what can they, again, do with that sort of technology, or do with that sort of information when we figured out that intelligent life is out there on, another planet. So that's my hot take on this. I think that while I'm not sure about the particular application of this like specific action that was done, I do think the idea is an interesting, if not useful, one to pursue. So opening it up to the nonprofits here. Thoughts?
You know, when I first read this article, I was just like, what a gross misuse of funds by NASA to actually do this. I mean, like, I get your point, about actually looking at it from a sociological point of view. So just in case if we actually have communication with an intelligent life outside of Earth, that, we can possibly gauge a way for us to be able to communicate, or even like how other people, depending on their religious affiliation, would react, right? And I guess, like, I don't know, like, I'm in the middle now. I'm in the middle. Like, that could be possibly a thing for you to do in order for you to be able to say, Nanu, what's going on, but, live long and prosper, health and long life, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. But at the end of the day, I'm like, could we not have used this research for something more important? I don't, and what that would be, I don't know. But but one of the things that I said in my notes is that we have stories, we have myths, we have books, and etc., about life on other planets, and we even have these particular myths and stories that also exist in different religions. So I don't know if, like, if that could be more so a way for us to be able to gauge what humankind would do depending on their religious affiliation, because we already have long histories and scripture and Vedas and etc., of all these different things, that we can get like a better understanding versus sinking money into this research. But that's just me. I'm gonna Teo.
Yeah, in this case, for me, I'm just sad. I personally feel that it's very, very sad that we live in such a deluded society, that we actually need this type of studies, because what I felt that this guy was doing was trying to find an excuse how to justify his own, or that this is what they will try to do, try to justify their own religion, in case that yet another piece of evidence showing that everything in the Bible and other sacred books is totally silly and made up and makes no sense. So they find life outside, and now we have to find a way to make it look like, no, the Bible all the time said that there were aliens and that there were other life, but you atheists didn't understand the Bible.
It's in the Bible.
And yeah, and other books. And I have to disagree with Dan in the thing about theology. I do have a guy who, well, two of them who have studied theology, and that's why they are atheists. So theology works very well when you are an atheist trying to understand why people believe silly stuff. Well, yeah, that's it.
So
I don't know, Cynthia, what's your take?
Well, I mean, I see it from a couple of different perspectives, for sure. I mean, where Cynthia was coming from, like, hey, could we have spent the money on something more valuable? Maybe. But I do think Dan has a really good point, especially if our goal is to try to have better communication. If that is what we're trying to do, then this does have value. Even if all of us here are like, okay, so you guys, okay, so you found Martians, yeah, and your Jesus still applies to that. Okay, come on, tell me again. Like, yeah, I think it's silly, that aspect of it, but there is definitely value to understanding what people think when they disagree with us, because how else are we going to combat that, with better ideas? I was a little surprised that they didn't have like psychologists and sociologists and so forth. I thought that would have been a really, really good thing too.
I agree.
And I don't think it was specific. And if I missed it, please y'all tell me. But I don't think it technically said one way or the other. Like, was this all Christian theologians? Was it like half and half?
No, I don't think it was all Christian theologians.
Okay,
I believe that it was a representation from different religions.
And that's obviously much better, I think, than just getting a bunch of really smart Christians in the room talking.
The article does say as well that NASA did not get to pick the researchers for this.
Okay,
the program is what's picking it.
Yeah, right. And that definitely matters too. Again, I definitely giggled a good bit because I was like, okay, so come on, like if aliens come down tomorrow and they have some like spiritual theology or something, like, are you really telling me that that's going to match up with like KJV Bible better than like Scientology or Raelism? Like, seriously, come on. Still though, I understand both sides. I understand maybe we could have put the money somewhere else, been more effective. But again, if we do want to make a better world, one of the best ways to do that is to really understand what the other side is saying. Yeah. And this is a way to do that.
I was just going to say that, like, Christian heaven is not more fun than Stovacore.
Yeah.
Kapla.
I want to make this clear, right? I'm not saying whether or not this specific instance, this particular avenue that's being walked down is a great idea. Personally, I think I would have approached it differently, but I think the idea is still relevant, right? Because as soon as we find intelligent life, exopolitics is suddenly a thing. It's suddenly a thing that exists. Okay. It's real. And not only that, the United States is going to be leaders in that because it's going to be a United States organization that's going to figure this out. How are you going to do it? How are you going to create national policy that's going to affect how you communicate and understand this alien culture and what its citizens are supposed to be in response to that? And to that ends, this makes sense. From an intelligence perspective, I think it makes sense. From a theological perspective, it's all nonsense. Okay, nothing that those people are going to write is going to convince me of the truth of Jesus Christ any more than what I believe right now about Jesus. Right? That's not what my interest is in. I don't think that that's valuable personally to me. But there's also 8 billion people on this planet, and most of them are religious. So if it's going to do something for them that deal with the existential weight that, hey, we're not the only people on this planet, then hey, we'll give it to them. But 22 people for writing a book. I'm assuming that's a drop in the budget for NASA. A drop in the bucket rather for their budget. I don't know. But
and you're right about that majority of people and being religious. I have to quote. I'm sorry, Cynthia. I'm going to quote from the article. Yeah. According to a portion of Davidson's book obtained by the Times, a large number of people would turn to their religion's tradition for guidance if aliens were ever discovered.
I don't think that's wrong. Me. I don't think that's wrong.
Sadly, me neither.
I kind of died when I read that quote. I died a little bit on the inside. I just want to put that out there. Like how is meeting ET going to really affect my love of Jesus Christ? I don't know. I mean, like, and for all the years that I was practicing Christianity, I don't ever remember reading anything close to, having conversations with extraterrestrial beings. Spiritual ones, sure, but extraterrestrial ones, not so much.
Just to clarify, wouldn't angels technically be extraterrestrial because they're not from Earth?
No, so they are not, but they're still considered spiritual beings.
That's
like
true.
They were made by God.
I'm just saying they're ETs.
They're ETs.
It's in there.
I just want to say.
Yeah, but do they phone home? Do they phone home?
I'm assuming they talk to God if God is home. I don't know. I'm not a fucking angel.
Say, Dan, I don't know why I had never thought this before, but when you said exopolitics is now a thing, my head just went like, oh my gosh, we're talking Galactic Senate from Star Wars. Instantly, baby.
You're acting like academic literature hasn't been written on this, and it has. Let me tell you.
We need to check this out.
You need to watch Truth Wanted. That's all I'm saying. Point is,
it's shameless plug here.
I'm just saying, look, the circles I run with, they think on different levels, okay? And not I say run with, but the ones I'm interested in, I don't know. It is it's is it the most practical at this point in time? No, but you know what? Neither was the golden record that Carl Sagan sent to space back in the fucking 70s. But we all thought that shit was cool. None of us were complaining about the goddamn budget when we sent a fucking cool ass record. I'm just saying this is more useful than that, in my opinion. So.
And I'm for finding aliens, so I say let's do it. I don't think they're here now, but let's keep looking.
I know, and I personally think that we could probably be more apt to finding aliens, maybe in our lifetime. I don't know.
Well, we'll see if the James Webb Telescope tells us some exciting stuff. Just got launched, so we'll see. We'll see.
I have always believed that we're going to find life, but not as advanced or that are in a similar state than us. Nothing like, oh yeah, they're coming in fly saucers to steal cows and draw silly stuff. No, but we could find some animals. But once again, sorry, my brain suddenly was, what are people going to do if we do find other animals in other planets and this proves evolution and suddenly they cannot say, oh no, God created the world 6,000 years ago and all evolution, which had been proven over and over, is false.
They're still going to say it. You're assuming that new evidence is going to change people's mind.
That hasn't stopped them before.
Why do I have hope in humans? Oh, Carson. You're right, Dan. You're right. I should have learned after all these years. Shame on me.
Well, Dan, since you brought us in, go ahead and give us a wrap up of your final thoughts for this before we move on to our final segment.
Okay. Anybody else want to give final thoughts, or am I just wrapping up?
Oh, I was just going to say, all we need is a federation now. Now we need the federation.
Listen, it's going to happen. I don't know. Like I said, I think I've said all wanted to say on this particular topic. Okay. I don't want to be the one guy that came on here and had a really hot take about fucking aliens and NASA and then just peace out, because that's weird. I think
you want to have sex with aliens?
No, well, I mean, like point is
it's not Thursday.
It's not Thursday.
Maybe for you guys.
You have to start with the premise. We find intelligent beings. What next? Right? For a government, that's actually kind of important. Like a lot of policy, like a lot of people don't realize this, but like even the fucking UN has like written policy about this. I'm pretty sure. Lots of people have actually kind of thought out the logical implications of what you have to do, because from a military perspective, even like you have to be ready to figure that out, because that's going to affect what your country is going to be like in relation to other countries, in terms of intelligence, in terms of technology and stuff. So again, is it sci-fi? Is it out there? Absolutely. But when you're fucking NASA, you got to think about that shit. So I think that there's some justification for it. Maybe not this particular avenue, but the idea is interesting nonetheless.
Before we close, I just want to say, if they are sentient and sexy, we do need alien-resistant condoms.
Did it just get hot? I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know what happened.
Golly.
Sorry.